And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. Show. Glad you can join us. And speaking of joining us, don't forget about follow us on Twitter. It's at Talkin Boxing. That's TalkinBoxing. And while you're at it, check out our website, www.billycboxing.com. Joining me right now is Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, my man, Larry Hazzard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Billy. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. A couple of slow weeks in the sport of boxing, at least for big name stuff. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on some stuff. First and foremost, not to get too involved in it. I know it's going to be on your to-do list tomorrow, but
tomorrow at 10.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to say.
Antonio Tarver. I don't understand. The part of this that I don't get, and he's in a lot of trouble. I'm going to talk about that later because I don't want to, bring it up while you're on. But, I don't understand why he's holding so strong and steadily that you guys effed up, that you made the mistake, and that he is, trying to convince anyone that will listen that he's been framed or something. I mean, you're doing this just to appease him, right? I mean, it's a on and off, yes or no, cut and dry situation, isn't it?
Well, I think I can say this much. It's basically Tarver versus the science. It's not Tarver versus the SACB. It's Tarver versus the science. Okay, as you know, there's drug testing. It's no secret that he had an issue, and the issue is that there was a positive drug sample, and he's being brought to task on that. It has nothing to do with us screwing up. We went through the process, and the process is going to be played out tomorrow. That's basically it. You know what I mean? And like what you're saying is absolutely correct. I mean, we didn't screw up anything. We did our due diligence. He was informed as to what the issues were. We followed everything in accordance with the with protocol and with the law. And so now it's gonna play out tomorrow. So, that's basically all I have to say and all I need to say at this point. And stay tuned. That's all.
Now, just for people that are watching or listening that don't understand the A and B samples, correct me if I'm wrong, but a fighter, when they give up the sample, they're doing a sample at the same time, they're urinating at the same time, and they're getting two samples, and they normally test the sample A, and if something is out of whack and somebody thinks that there was a problem or there was an error, they get the choice to have the second sample, which was taken at the same time, tested just to make sure that there wasn't a mistake. Now, if both samples test out to be exactly the same, I don't know. I'm not a lab technician, but it seems to me that it's a pretty cut and dry situation.
Well, you couldn't have put it better. I mean, as far as the procedure, the B sample acts as I think for lack of a better term, the B sample acts as a confirming sample, and you are absolutely correct in what you said. So there it is. I mean, how you say you have the evidence, so you have to deal with the evidence. Whatever Mr. Tarver has to present that's contrary to the evidence, we'll see how that plays out tomorrow.
Now, does he have to be present for this?
Well, he didn't necessarily have to be, but it's the information that we received is that he will be present. So he will be present. He didn't have to be. You don't have to show up in court, but sometimes it's to your benefit to be there. So that's the way that goes. He will. We've been informed that he will be present.
Now, this decision that you guys are making in Jersey, is this a decision to? Is it a suspension type decision, or I mean, because it's a foregone conclusion. I know in his mind he doesn't think he tested positive, but it's not an issue of whether he tested positive or not. It's an issue of what you're going to do about it, right?
Well, it covers the whole gamut. You know, I don't know what they are contending in terms of, you know, we'll have to just see, you know, what they are denying or whatever his case that they're going to present, and it could include suspension, fines, or whatever. You know, it's clearly delineated in the statute.
Some big fights are being talked about, Larry, and one of them has kind of got me chuckling to myself. You know, and I think I'm pretty sure you agree with me that Anthony Joshua, the kid over from England, is going to be a name that we're going to be hearing in the heavyweight division a lot at some time in the future. But it was released last week, and I thought it was all BS, but it seems like it's moving forward. That Charles Martin, the guy who's actually a world champion, you know, is talking about, you know, fighting this kid. And normally, I would be the first guy to say, hey, listen, Anthony Joshua, you know, is one of these types of fighters that could very well control a division, but he's a kid. You know, why rush him in a situation? You know, develop him, because I'm the first guy to say, hey, once you wear a belt around your waist, I don't want to hear that you're still in developmental stage. But when if this opportunity comes to him, he should take it. I mean, I think that's a win for Anthony Joshua. What's your thoughts on that fight based on what you've seen?
I laughed when I saw it. I said, "Oh boy." Well, listen, I think that you probably will agree that I think Martin's going for as much money as he can get. Okay, because he picks Joshua. Joshua, you know, this kid is a pretty decent fighter. And, you know, I don't think that, I think he's really taking a chance. I think that the champion is taking a chance with picking this kid Joshua, you know. And I, like you, I agree that Joshua has a great opportunity here, you know, with this challenge because, you know, skill-wise, I think that Joshua has a great chance of coming away with the championship if he fights this guy, Martin. So I think that Martin is the guy that's taking the big risk.
Yeah, but
with his new championship, because this kid Joshua undefeated, and he has some skills. Now I think that Martin, we saw the fight with Martin. You know, that was kind of like a gift in many ways. You know, the guy hurt his knee. And, you know, Martin is just a fighter, in my opinion, of medial skills. And I don't expect him to hold on to that belt. You know, I thought that being a title fight was laughable. Certainly didn't do anything good for the sport of boxing. You know, that particular fight itself, to me, was laughable. And it ended in a laughable fashion.
I know. It was like a comedy show from start to finish. The announcement of it, the outcome, now what's happening now. You know, after the fight. You know, but you know, the funny thing is this. I think you hit it right on the head. You know, Martin is looking at his options, and maybe people close to him realize that, you know, he's not going to be holding on to this title very long. You know, because they can only get away with so many layups. And maybe they are trying to cash out as quickly as possible. Plus, a heavyweight, you know, let's be real. The guy is undefeated. I'm talking about Charles Martin. And in my opinion, he got the opportunity to fight for a title way too early. So why not take the big money if he's offered it and roll the dice? Even if he comes up short, it's not like he's going to, you know, his career is over. You know, I mean, he'll get another chance, you know. So I think it's a good move for Martin. But the thing I'm concerned with is if Anthony Joshua takes the fight and they make it financially worth it for everybody, and Anthony Joshua wins the fight, because I think he will. I think he'll not only win the fight, he'll knock out Charles Martin. But let's say he does. What I'm afraid of, now this goes back to what I always say, Larry, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, that once you get to be a world champion, all bets are off. You can't say, I'm developing, I'm doing this. So if Anthony Joshua makes that decision to take this opportunity, which I would if I was him, and if I was with that team, I would be saying do it, then he kind of opens up the door to kind of have to fight some of the guys that maybe he's not ready for. What's your thoughts on that? Should he walk away from an opportunity like this, or should he take it while the taking's good?
Well, that's one of the downside, if you know, if I will. That's one of the downsides in boxing. You know, sometimes the opportunity comes too soon. You know, you ever be in a position where you wish you could put something off for another year or two, but you can't because opportunity only knocks once, as they say, or sometimes you may not get the opportunity again, or sometimes you're just thrust into a situation where, you know, it's just too soon, and he's getting an opportunity that a lot of fighters be out there half a lifetime and never get. He's getting it when he really maybe shouldn't be getting it, and it might be too soon, and then he'll be thrust into a situation where, because he got that opportunity too early, he wasn't ready for the big league or for that level. So what you're saying is absolutely correct, but I don't know what he can do about it. You know, he can't walk away from it. Here is a belt almost being handed to you, okay? Because there's no doubt in my mind that he's supposed to lose a fight like that against this kid Martin. The opportunity is really for Martin. That's why he's trying to get as much. Did you see what, is it Harry, the promoter? He said how this guy thinks that you can make a phone call and make the fight and, you know, it's done. He's trying to get as much money as he could because I don't think he has that much confidence in holding the belt that long himself. Okay? So here Joshua is thrust into a situation where he's not totally ready for, and, you know, it might be an opportunity that he may not get again, I guess. You know, so he has to go for it. You know, anytime you have the opportunity to win a championship, I guess you have to take that opportunity and then hope for the best after that. You know, so I don't know what the kid is going to do. But I agree with you 100% on that he may not be ready for that level, because if he wins that championship, then, you know, he's going to have to defend against fighters who may be at a level that he's not at yet, and he may not have it that long. So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
I think you're right. You know, first of all, Martin is with Al Heyman. So Al Heyman obviously is in control of Deontay Wilder. So my first thought was definitely they want Deontay Wilder to unify titles. But then I'm thinking, well, maybe Al sees a better financial gain for everyone if he fights this guy, and even if he loses, well, then that guy is going to be in. That guy, meaning Anthony Joshua, is in line to fight Deontay Wilder at some point. You know, so I see a long-term advantage for everybody involved, even Charles Martin, should he come up with an L, because there'll be other fights for him to get back in the mix. He shouldn't have been fighting for it to begin with.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, you know, and I think you're right again, and certainly, like the Al Heyman theory, you know, Al Heyman can't lose here either way. Right. You know, you lose and you win sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I always say about everybody's always saying, you know, the PBC is 480 million in the red and all this. And I said, yeah, but it isn't Al Heyman's money. As a matter of fact, he's getting his percentage. You know, we're talking about how they're overpaying some of these fighters. Oh yeah, $1.5 million for a fight that they should be getting $500,000. He's getting his percentage of that. You know, so all the investors, you know, everybody's crying the blues, but actually Al is making money. I mean, you know, he's not losing a penny. You know, he's no dummy. You know, come on.
Hey, no dummy. Hey, well, you know what did I say, or what did we say when this thing first started out? So this guy, you know, Al Heyman is a smart guy, you know, Harvard grad, okay, and he's not just a Harvard grad with a piece of paper. I think that he is, you know, pretty smart guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing, and so far, it looks like it's paying off for him. You know?
Well, it's paying off for him. You know, I'm sure his bank account is very happy with the way things are unfolding. But we'll have to see what happens as we move on. Andre Ward is finally signed to fight Sullivan Barrera, and this was a fight that a lot of people we talked about this fight for a long time, but it came out that Andre Ward was, you know, being the diva that he is and trying to make things difficult, and you know, everybody's saying how hard he is to deal with, and I believe all of that, and it kind of opened up another can of worms, Larry. You know, Andre Ward, in my opinion, back when he was at the top, I made an argument, you know, and we're talking 4 or 5 years ago, I made an argument that he could have been at that time regarded as the number one pound-for-pound fighter, even over Floyd or Manny. And my reasoning was because of the level of opposition he faced. You know, if you look at that 5-year period, especially during the Super 6 tournament, I mean, the guys that Andre Ward fought and beat were the best. I mean, the only guy that you could even compare was Carl Froch. Now, fast forward us 5 years down the road, the guys fought 3 times in 5 years, right? He's had some injuries, and the guy is demanding that, you know, people are looking at him as the number one pound for pound, and he's demanding negotiation tactics like he is the pound for pound. I got to be honest when I say this, Larry. He's got to prove that he's still where he is. I mean, 5 years is a long time. His prime could have been sitting on the shelf with him. What do you think about him taking so long and being hard to deal with, and of course people anointing him at number one pound for pound at this stage of the game?
Well, I don't necessarily believe that he's deserving of that now. And also, you know, he hasn't fought. And this is Barrera's going to be a tough test for him, you know, because he's moving up in weight class also. So, you know, that might be a tough task, but I don't necessarily think that he's deserving of the pound-for-pound, you know, crown at this point, because he hasn't really proven it, you know, he hasn't fought in quite a while. And, you know, he's just pound for pound. I mean, you know, that to me is that he's not befitting of that at this point. You know, he has to earn that.
Right.
You know, to be considered the greatest fighter, pound for pound. You know, you can't take that lightly. That has to be earned. Now, when Floyd was being considered pound for pound, at least Floyd was active. He was fighting. And he was beating everybody that they put in front of him, whether you agreed with, you know, his style or whatever you want to call it. He was active, he was there, and he was winning. But Andre hasn't done that. So you've lowered the standard for, you know, being designated as pound for pound the greatest fighter, and I simply don't think that that's fair. I think it does a disservice to the sport of boxing, and it does a disservice to a lot of the other fighters that are out there. I mean, you got guys like Triple G, you got Kovalov, you got some of these other guys out there who've been active, who've been fighting, you know, they've been very competitive, they've been winning, you know, and, you know, to try to thrust someone, you know, in front of all those guys, I don't think that's right. And I really don't think that Andre is going to really be accepted as pound for pound the greatest out there. Not at this point, until he proves himself.
Right.
And then, you he may very well prove himself. I certainly feel that if he gets back on track and gets active, he certainly has the talent to prove himself, and he may very well, prove himself to be the pound for pound. But at this point, I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
You can't just anoint him for something he did 5 years ago, and because Floyd technically says he's retired, it's okay. So, but the truth of the matter, Larry, with the pound for pound, it's an imaginary thing and it's subjective. There is no right or wrong answer. If you think that he's pound for pound, God bless you. You stumbled across something that really bothers me, and it has nothing to do with Andre Ward, but it has to do with the way boxing works today. And, growing up and being a boxing fan and being in the gym and stuff, I mean, the one thing you always heard from your trainers and everything else is, you work hard, you keep, you keep your nose clean, you work hard, and it pays off. That hard work pays off. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of young fighters in the gyms today that are working their butts off, trying to do what they're supposed to do and learning the hard way and coming up. But yet the business of boxing doesn't reward those guys. They reward the guys that, basically sign a deal with the devil, and they, maneuver them to a championship. Championships are maneuvered now. They're not earned. And, we're always complaining that our pool of fighters is so small. Well, if you're a young fighter and you see that that's what's happening, why would you stick around?
Well, I think that's very well put, and I think that the fans have a lot to do with it too, Billy. The fans really want somehow, if the fans somehow realize the influence and the power that they have by not, subjecting themselves and accepting some of this fictitious stuff that's thrust upon them, I think you could see a change in that attitude. And how does the fans send that message? Send the message at the, at the arena by not going to the fights, and don't buy these events on television. The fans have to be heard, and I think if the fans stand up and voice their opinions more, a lot of this will change.
No, you're right, but then what happens is you get. The promoter is really to blame, and the manager, because what they'll say is it's like a kid who gets in trouble and gets mad at his parents for putting him in trouble when he forgets what he did to get in trouble. And it's the same thing to promoters. So if they start feeding garbage to the fan, and the fan does what you suggest, which I support 100%, then the promoter gets on the podium and says, boxing's dead. Nobody's coming to the fights. He doesn't say the part, well, nobody's coming to the fights because they don't approve of the matchups, or they don't approve of the maneuverability that's taking place. It's like they're forgetting the reason, and it seems to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. Well, we just have to keep battling, and voicing our opinions and try to get people to do the right thing. But I think that when the promoters react to the pocketbook, you know what I mean? And if the fans really, get show their disdain for some of this stuff, I think it will change it. I think that's really where it has to begin.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, I just wish that at least, we got to deal with all the sanctioning bodies. We got to deal with the division with the promoters and networks and all this other stuff. The one thing I wish we didn't have to deal with is the good old-fashioned put your nose to the grindstone and work hard and get rewarded for it. That is my hang-up. I can't help but think of a young kid that's in that gym that's, maybe doesn't have, the connections to get him with the right person or whatever, but yet his dream is to be a champion, and he's working hard, fighting tough fights, working 2 jobs, making it to the gym, and this guy's not getting rewarded for that, sacrifice, and that's what, when you go through the history of the sport, Larry, every single fighter sacrificed something. I mean, they everyone in the history, they all went through some kind of sacrifice, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a sport where, you really have to sacrifice because you don't play boxing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't play boxing, man, and it's a game of sacrifice, a game of denial. And that's something that the fighters realize, and the fans have to realize it too, and the promoters, are the ones who pretty much control everything, and unless they have a change in their attitude, nothing's going to change. So we have to just, hey, look, Billy, we have to just stay on the soapbox and keep putting it out there, and who knows, maybe we'll see some change.
I hope so. And
Can't give up. I hope so too.
And speaking of denial, good luck with the thing tomorrow with Tarver and all his denials. But
Okay.
but I'm sure it's the right decision is gonna be made, and I'm looking forward to seeing what stories get told after that. But in any event, I know you got it under control.
I'll keep you posted. Don't worry.
No, I'm just saying. No. To me, it's not even. It shouldn't even be an issue. I mean, to me, it's in your backyard. You're the guy that I feel comfortable with. There's not going to be. Listen, when he started saying that Jersey made the mistake, I'm like, oh man, here he goes. You picked this ain't Missouri, man. This isn't Maine, But anyway, Larry, have a patient time tomorrow, and we look forward to you next week.
I'm gonna go to bed early tonight, Billy.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I know you're not going to have trouble sleeping. That's for sure. But we'll look forward to getting the news tomorrow, my man.
Okay. All right, Billy.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay. You too.
That's my man Larry Hazzard, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, and he's got his hands full with some storytellers tomorrow in Jersey. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And with that, I'm going to take a short break. And when I come back, we got this week's Blast from the Past, Panama, Al Brown. I'll be back in 2.